Hi, Louise. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me, Eitan. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is a very special episode for me. I'm really excited to talk about a lot of things with you because you're from Specialized, and I'm also into biking for the last 15 years. I think half of them rode on Specialized bikes. So, really a special episode for me because I'm talking about my passion, obviously yours as well, because I know Specialized employees, you need to, you must ride, right? Or you cannot avoid that.
Yeah, we have to, at least in some way. It is very weird when someone doesn't ride a bike.
Interesting, interesting. So, Liz, you are into specialized bicycle components, right? Working in the Netherlands right now,
Yeah.
managing the operational side of the commerce activities. But you started in Mexico, right? So, let's start from probably the beginning of your professional journey. I know you've did really great things over there with Amazon, Mercado Libre, and so let's probably start from that point.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I think Specialized decided, let's just say 5, 6 years ago that they needed to go direct to consumers. So there was a big push to launch e-commerce in every region and every market. I think the first one, of course, was the US. And then in Latam at least, Brazil went live first, which was like yeah, I think 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. And then, of course, because of size and market opportunity, then other markets were kind of pushed into doing it. So Mexico was, in terms of size, the next one, the next big one to go in Latam. Of course,
Hmm.
by that time, Europe already went live with some markets. So all the regions were like simultaneously going live. So funny thing, I was working for another company that works in a completely different industry. I was working in manufacturing, but however, the the systems were pretty much the same. So like Oracle as an ERP, and then SAP for the front end and order management stuff like that. So I first I started like giving some consultancy to Specialized, and eventually I think it was just like logical, right, to make a move. So I joined the company, and to be fair, like I got the challenge very early in the week. Like you need to launch e-commerce in less than 6 months. So
Wow.
I mean, it's probably like if you are an entrepreneur or like you have a small business, probably 6 months sounds like a lot. But if you have a big company like Specialized, launching e-commerce, it is quite a big thing because you need to set up all the digital infrastructure for it to work. And then, of course, the warehouse, logistics, carriers, packaging for equipment. We were not shipping bikes to customers at that point, but we were definitely shipping them to stores and then assembling them at stores and then delivering to customers. So creating also those relationships with more than 100 stores at that point, also to receive and assemble bikes. I mean, it took a lot of work. So fortunately, yes, we were able to launch it within the 6 months period, even before than that, and it just started blooming a lot. And then I was also fortunate enough to work with a very talented team of people in Brazil to launch other markets. So I was very involved in Colombia, in Chile, and eventually Argentina. Also joined the rest of the markets selling online. And also like summarizing, that happened like the first year we did very well. However, the growth was very limited for the fact that we were not selling bikes to customers. So in 2021, and it was quite a hectic Christmas, to be honest. I remember it was like the pandemic, and we were in Christmas, and we got like a message from Global saying like everyone in the world, every market will start shipping bikes to home by the beginning of 2021.
Wow.
So we were all going crazy. It was definitely not the scenario that we wanted, but in a way, kind of pushed the organization to be very agile. Um, so that meant that almost every market in the world launched like ship to home. That's how we call it. shipped to home by January, February of 2021. So that also included like, meeting assembly lines and then designing packaging for all these experiences, which to be honest, we are still far from ideal. We are not like top of the line in this category. I think Canyon is definitely like setting up the path that
Mhm.
we all should follow. But at that point, it was huge. Like we really needed this. There was a huge demand for our bikes. So I think we did it very well, given the circumstances that we were in at that point. And we did it. And yeah, you mentioned Amazon, you mentioned Mercado Libre. So marketplaces has been around for a lot of time. Yes, I think we all are. If we are not actually Amazon customers or any marketplaces customers, it's very strange. Like I think we all at least bought something there once, right? So for our category for sports in general, I think like the competition is huge at this moment. At this moment, so we kind of question ourselves like, do we need to compete with them or should we join to them in a way,
Mhm.
right? But if we join them, there has to be a proper way to do it, right? So I'm talking about from the a product perspective, like product selection, product assortment, pricing control, which one of the biggest ones that we also wanted to make sure it was done in the right way. And then like, what type of channel is this? Is this like a first to consumer? Is this like a clearance channel? What is this, right? So back then, I worked with Rafael Cunha, which is now the US e-commerce leader. He was working in Brazil back then, and we were able to negotiate a regional agreement with all Latam for Mercado Libre. So Mercado Libre is a huge marketplace in Latam, but it's not only a marketplace; it's now more like a fintech. So they have their own um, payment gateways, they have terminals, they have financing solutions, they have all of that.
Kind of
So
a
to be,
super app. Yeah.
yeah, so they're awesome. And I mean, I'll try to go quick with this, but we started like tipping our feet in the water in the pond, just like knowing how is this going to work, because we were also using Mercado Pago in specialized.com as a payment gateway. And yeah, we arranged an agreement with them to launch first in Mexico. So we launched it first in Mexico, and we started promoting products that were not performing very well in specialized.com. And surprisingly, we did very, very well in Mercado Pago. And eventually, we like these guys have like a category like Amazon also, like refurbished, you know.
Yeah.
So we also started doing something like that, like refurbished demo bikes, athletes bikes, stuff like that, and we were doing great.
Hmm.
So after that, let me try to like paint the picture of how the situation turned out to be. We of course opened the rest of the official stores for Mercado Libre in the rest of the markets. As I said, we were also controlling the price, and we were also controlling copies. There were a lot of Chinese sellers trying to offer copycats of us. So that also allowed us to control that in a way. And Specialized is not only digital. Specialized pretty much is a retail company.
Mhm.
So ecom is 10-15% of the revenue. So it was very, very important to create something for the ecosystem, trying to push omnichannel. So at that point, we were also negotiating, at least in Mexico, we were negotiating Mercado Pago terminals for all the stores in the country, which allowed us at some point to, instead of, let's just say, I'm going to sell 50, 60,000 euros this month and negotiate a fee, which most likely for that volume, you won't get anything better than what you get.
Mhm.
We were negotiating something much, much larger for the whole ecosystem. So I have, I don't know, 70 stores, and my online store revenue for this month, let's just say Black Friday or Christmas or something. So sometimes we were getting like cashback, or we were getting lower fees, or we're getting I don't know, any kind of financial incentive to get better conditions for everyone in the network. So that was massive. That was massive, and so far I haven't seen something like that in the cycling industry, at least. Of course, there are other companies like Decathlon and other big players in the retail sports industry that do it, but most of them own their stores.
Yeah.
In this case, it was like a mix of independent, owned, and our online channels. So I think that, well, besides that, of course, we also standardized the point of sales in the retailer network. So
Hmm.
that also allowed us to do some connecting with our databases and start seeing like sell in, sell out, and improve the purchasing process for us, for them, and also understand a little bit more of the market share of some stores, some regions, and improve how it works. But to be honest, we're still in the early stages of this. I think we're not using the full potential of these features, and also being totally fair, we are years behind the industry in other ways.
Yeah.
So we're trying to catch up.
Sure. Obviously, the majority of specialized and business is offline through retail, through bike stores and shops. And how did you balance this when you launch on Mercado Libre and Amazon? And how do you balance this operationally, but also eliminating conflicts with the shop owners?
I mean, yeah, conflict. There's always going to be,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be detractors, and there's always going to be these um, traditionalists that like things the old way, that they think the world works the same as it worked 20 something years ago, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. You have to adjust the message based on whoever is receiving it.
Yeah.
There are younger store owners that for sure were on board right away, but for the ones that are more analytical, let's just go for the numbers. Like if I'm saving you, I don't know, 3-4% of your financial fees by doing this kind of stuff, let's do it, right? Or if you, I don't know, if you don't want to have own an e-commerce platform, then I'll show you the benefits of having one. Um, so again, there are ways that I think, like presenting this to a larger audience, you can pretty much get a bunch of promoters that you don't need to convince any more than that. But there are others that, yeah, just require a different approach, right? So of course I had to do, trips to cities and
Hmm.
having dinners with wine with someone to get this going, because it was, at least in my mind, now that I'm in Europe, at least I like to think of like get the big ones and then the rest will follow. So I was doing something like that in Mexico, right? So trying to get at least the top 5 retailers that bring in the most revenue. And if they were on board, then the rest were usually joining me, right?
Yeah.
Or at least reaching out to ask questions. And then, of course, let's negotiate. And if you have any concerns or doubts, it's totally valid. That's also fine.
Yeah. Interesting. So you started this and you did all of this amazing work in Mexico, and then you moved. What was the trigger? Tell us about this step forward in your career.
Yeah, I want to change, man. I really want to change, and I lived in Europe before 7, 8 years ago, so I knew that I wanted something different. Unfortunately, there was a chance the European team was changing, so also unfortunately, based on good results, I was able to get some good recommendations and good word throughout the organization. Say like, yeah,
Hmm.
this guy is probably good for this position. So yeah, just like internal conversations around the movement, and it was a good fit for what the company needed here in Europe. And it's a little bit different, to be honest, because this is a regional position. So I'm responsible for operations for ecom. So it's just internally we say that it's everything during and after a customer is paying. So payment strategy, risk management, fraud management, um, payment strategy includes not only our payment processors relationship. Within this case, I'm the point of contact for Adyen in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But also we have more options in Europe because cycling is a huge thing here. So we have leasing, we have financing. Some of them want different payment methods, so we're working on that, like bank transfer, installments. So it's a huge thing. And then all the post purchase, which is logistics, packaging, assembly, carrier management. It is very a very complex market, honestly. The companies are still really pushing it forward to improve customer satisfaction, to improve customer experience. It is not easy at all, but there are plenty of things going forward to make this better. Yeah.
Yeah. So in your role, you work on and starting to take responsibilities, beginning with the checkout process, payment solution. You mentioned Aiden that you work, and also providing variety of financial solutions like leasing and payment terms, right? Payment condition and deferred payments and all that finance part. This is something that you heard as a demand from customers. How did you figure out that just providing all these options might be a very good service to customers?
Yeah. Well, of course, I think the first analysis that we do is revenue forecast, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the payment methods.
Yeah.
I would love to offer the same opportunities for all markets, but we all know that if you manage in our case like 16, 17 websites across Europe, you need to focus on the ones that bring the most revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course we're focusing on Germany, the UK, France, Switzerland. At least for us, those are big. But I mean the customers speak, so they say this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when they go to a store or they talk to our customer service teams, like they'll tell us, can I do a bank transfer? Can I use this? Can I use leasing? So of course those things are quite repetitive. And well, of course, besides that, we have competition that also sells online, and we know which payment methods are popular with them.
Yeah.
And if we don't have those, then at least we should consider adding it to the portfolio. Um, but I mean, in this case, it's just about like the opportunity. For example, bank transfer is a huge thing because credit limits in Europe are limited. So we need to give them the chance to transfer the money if they want a, especially an expensive bike.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're working on that, for example. And leasing is a huge thing in the UK, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium. For a lot of stores, leasing represents 35% of the revenue. So it is a huge payment method for them. And yeah, we're working into building those relationships with partners to put that into the payment options for our customers.
Yeah. Those 16, 17 sites that you mentioned, they are like D2C website or also on the B2B side?
No, D2C, these are countries for me,
Yeah.
let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, websites for me are countries. Yeah.
Are you planning any migration on the B2B sites to online?
No. The B2B already has their own infrastructure
Yeah.
and is always being updated. The company's changing that a lot, but I think that works just fine for the moment. And yeah, that they just have a different strategy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Got it. So what's happening on the backend side, the operational side, in terms of warehouses, shipping, logistics aspect, customer care? I know you're a lot involved in this, so love to know more about what you do over there.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot go into a lot of details into like what
Sure.
is the changes that we're doing, because some of them are still like you say private for the company, even internally. But if I go to explain like what is the work that we do, because and to be honest, this is a very common misconception of e-commerce. Like we think that everything is digital. Well, in some cases it isn't. Like the operational part of it, for example, it also includes to be very involved in the warehouse to understand how logistics is working, how your um, warehouse clerks and teams over there are working. So at least in my mind, let's just say if I have a campaign and I need efficiency, so I'm usually sharing like what is the objective of the campaign, what products are participating. Then based on that and some forecast, we can readjust the warehouse layout. So it's like slow movers, fast movers. Then you move the products from location to location to make them easier to pick for the people in the warehouse. If the volume is way too large, for example, that also opens the window to rearranging the amount of pickups you're gonna have during a day. Usually we have one, so you can have two, you can have three.
Hmm.
That depends on whatever is happening. If you have for example, a new launch of a product, so also that in some cases is like keeping them in easy to pick locations so that it's easier to ship them outside fast to all of our customers, to retailers, to stuff like that. And for the assembly, I mean, this is probably an issue more related to the cycling industry and similar industries. But of course, Adidas, Nike, all these companies don't have these issues because they don't do assembly. But
Yeah.
in our case, we do. Or we have to pre-assemble some bikes. So it's also the same. I think we're getting a new product, or at least we have a campaign. There's a discount. There's something. So we expect an increase in sales on these bikes for sure. So we need to make sure we have the right amount of people in the warehouse. The assembly capacity is at X amount of level. So it's just that. That's pretty much what we do. As I mentioned, it's not perfect because the company is changing a lot and is trying to like pursue an objective for the next 3-5 years. So that makes sense that for now we are struggling a lot. But the company is definitely focusing this on being very, very efficient in the long term and just in general providing a good customer satisfaction.
Yeah. In terms of the delivery, this used to be like a huge problem, right? During COVID period, obviously.
Yeah.
Now it's much better. What is your goal in terms of deliveries? And we see a lot of changes, and you mentioned this also during our preparation call about Amazon and eBay. They're changing delivery policies as well. So, what is your probably targets around delivery and what people can expect, when they're buying online?
Yeah, I would like to, I would love to find like the perfect balance because to be fair, like let's just say giving a bike in 3-4 days, in some cases it might not be realistic. Um, I mean, they
Hmm.
need to be prepared in a way, they need to be checked, they need to be tested. So rushing that process leads to mistakes or leads to making mistakes, right? So I would love at some point to just improve what we do and just like deliver the bikes in a different packaging experience, something more intuitive, being more sustainable with the boxes, of course, delivering just in general a good experience for our customers. Like the box and the packaging and the unboxing experience should be very, very simple for all of us. Just to finish the adjustments to your bike and then checking the manuals to I don't know, just register the bike, to register the warranty, know what to do in the case of a
Hmm.
return, know what to do in the case of a warranty. If you want, like if you have an electric bike, for example, what's next? Like how to use the applications to set it up. If I need update on my firmware, what do I do? So that's at this point, to be honest, we are like rethinking the basics on how with this stuff
Hmm.
and just improve it from the core because we know the experience can be better, and we're working towards that. But let's like let's just split that goal into a smaller uh, milestones,
Yeah.
right? So let's just say at the short term, for example, I would love to improve the tracking experience of the bikes. I would love to improve massively the returns experience. I'm working really hard towards that. And then, of course, the assembly process is already improving here, but there's also work that we're doing in other areas to make it better. So I don't know, man. I will never finish if I tell you, but in general, it's just I think if you're buying a very expensive bike, you can wait a couple days, but
Sure,
when it gets there, it has to be good. So
100%. Yeah.
I want to make sure of that.
And what is the process for someone who's buying those bikes online? As you mentioned, some of them can be very, very expensive. The process work that they are, anyone can assemble that, or they need to go to a local certified store to set them up. What's usually is the process that
Yeah.
you are managing?
Well, we have two delivery methods in Europe right now. So one is ship to home and the other one is pick up in store. So ship to home is vastly more popular than pick up in store. So which means that we are pre-assembling the bike up until like 94, 95% of assembly, and it
Okay.
gets straight to your place. But
Mhm.
it will get to you in a big, big box. So you will just need to open it, pull the bike out. And to be fair, whatever you need to do next is just very logical. It's just torquing, like adjusting the handlebar and the seat
Mhm.
post to your measurements, and that's it. In some cases, you will get some pedals, so you can also include the pedals, and that's pretty much it. But if you're doing pick up on store, then we ship out the bike to the store. Then the store assembles the bike for you, contacts you, and then you can go and pick it,
Mhm.
and the bike will be like fully ready for you. And in most cases, the store also will explain like, yeah, these are the point of contacts for you. So handlebar, bike, pedals, and all this stuff, and then adjust it if you need it, right? Like let's just say I don't know, the seat post is too high, so that's okay. Let's just get it lower.
Yeah.
The brakes are too down, so let's just put it up. So they can do that for you for sure. So yeah, at the moment that's kind of the experience, but again, ship to home is vastly more popular than pick up in store at the moment. So we definitely want to improve that for the future.
So how this impacts terms and conditions, the warranty, what's being provided today?
I mean, every customer has a warranty.
Hmm.
So if you register the bike, you will get like a lifetime warranty on the frame. If you don't register the bike, you only have like 2 years on the frame. Um, and there are still some like warranties that we have on helmets and wheels, for example, and shoes. So, for example, for helmets, we have a crash replacement. So if you crash with your bike and you break it, you will get X amount of percent of discount in your next purchase if you broke it during riding.
Hmm.
For the bike, it's almost the same. There are certain companies like Robal that they have like specific return policy or warranty that you can use. That's like we kind of ensure satisfaction doing that. I honestly don't have it in the top of my mind right now, but there are plenty of those you can do. And in some cases, like if you have a warranty case, the best thing you do is just like contact us, contact Care, then provide some evidence. You will probably we will be required to bring it to a store. If you don't have a store nearby, you can ship it back, and then it goes through inspection. And after that, in most cases, you will be compensated, or you will be offered something else for that. So that's usually how it works. Um, as terms and conditions, like there's honestly nothing tricky on the website. Use like that. Yeah, I think it's just a very common. Uh, we don't have anything extraordinary there. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. And I know that retention is also a very important topic in this business for sure, and some of the loyalty programs. What you guys are doing on that respect?
We are still far from that. Honestly, we are not close to loyalty programs at this point. Um, it is in the scope for the future, of course,
Hmm.
but for now we're not doing this at the moment. At some point, we wanted to do a loyalty program, get some points if you buy. If you, for example, are a Nestworks owner, which is the top of the line, then get some benefits. But at the moment, that's something we're trying to work to differentiate ourselves from other marketplaces and other brands.
Yeah,
But in the moment, we don't have something like that, sadly.
sure. And as a leading provider in the bikes industry, what is your feedback on the general market conditions right now? in terms of the overall business competition?
It's a highly competitive industry.
Hmm.
And after the pandemic, I think the industry came into, I wouldn't say like full crisis, but it's a complex situation because, as you said, during the pandemic, there was not a lot of stock. And after that, there was a stock. So all the bike industry is struggling to sell out, um, and struggling to get market share. So you see a lot of price wars everywhere. Everyone is trying to get customers through pricing, and yeah, the benefits or the components or the differentiators on the bike. Certainly, I wouldn't say they are in like a second term or option or plane or whatever, but definitely pricing. It's I think the biggest argument at the moment. So you see a lot of small companies going bankrupt or reducing their catalog a lot.
Hmm.
They are not offering a lot of models of bikes anymore, or they're reducing their color grades. So anything to simplify their catalog and just make it more competitive, I think. And but again, we have a lot of competition. So Canyon is doing great. Trek has been always been around, and we're just like battling on top. And now, for example, Decathlon is also doing great with their bikes, Bandrazel. So they just added a competitive bike into their catalog, cheaper bike, for example, than other bikes. So for sure,
Yes.
that also we'll see how that goes, because Decathlon is huge in the digital space. They invest a lot of money in advertising. So um, I think the rest, like in this case, Specialized Canyon, that we compete with them. Well, I mean, we were not competing with them that much. We will now compete with them much and more every time. Sorry, but we'll see how that goes and how also the customers receive that kind of bikes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, in general ways, I would say that this industry still has like 1, 2 years to go back to normal.
Got it. It's such an interesting industry because you can see the innovation that is being introduced like every year. It's really amazing, and how e-bikes, took over almost everything, and all the advancement in the parts specifications, and the assembly is in a very nice way, and geometries are changing. It's really nice to see this evolution. We have, when I ride with my friends, every time we see something new, we have like a bet if it's going to catch it or not, in the market. So when 29-inch were introduced, we wasn't sure it's going to be a real thing, but now it's the standard, right? So it actually moved.
It
So
is.
stuff like that, it's very exciting to see. Great, Luis. I know that you also do a lot of things outside of work, right? And probably you have also some fun facts you want to share with us. So this is the part of the episode where you probably share more personal information about yourself.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, we've been thinking about what would be the fun fact, but yeah, I think my fun fact is that I have had um, more than 12 bone fractures. So it's like three in my nose, some in my arms, some in my legs, two ribs. So I was kind of living life a little bit recklessly before and doing a lot of dangerous sports and football, of course. And but yeah, but now I'm a little bit more relaxed. I'm also taking cycling a little bit more um I don't know, the safe way. I'm not
Yeah.
doing trails anymore and just going downhill like a crazy guy. I'm just doing commuting to work
Yeah.
and some road and mountain. And I also play golf. I think that also those kind of lessons made me play golf. So I'm a golf fan for 14, 15 years. So I really like it. So yeah, just that. And yeah, I think that's it. That's my fun fact.
Amazing. From extreme sports to golf. That's really like the other side of the spectrum of any sport, right?
Yes, yes,
Nice.
yes.
Great. Luis, anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. No, no. That was a good conversation.
Great. So really appreciate all the information. Very, very helpful. Thank you so much and good luck. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you very much, Eitan.